I was an odd kid. Not in the crazy sociopathic way that made me want to light animals on fire and murder my parents, but I viewed the world with little to no excitement. I simply went with the crowd. I didn't care. I couldn't. Nothing truly interested me. Of course, I laughed at things that were funny. I cried when I was sad, but at the end of it all, I just carried on. I didn't have many dreams, hopes, aspirations. Ever since I was young, I had the I'll figure it out when I get there mentality. I was bored all the time. Day after day passed, year after year ran on. Boredom tormented me each second. I began to forget faces, forget names, forget memories on purpose. They held no meaning for me. Person after person who came up to me, who gave me a hearty hello, who introduced themselves as this person, and that just blurred together. I tried to shake it off at first, but then I decided why I should even bother. Why should I use my energy to speak to someone who I didn't want to talk to? I couldn't grasp onto a single piece of my life, my surroundings, my own self, and my place in this world. I lost all sense around me. My only desire to feel the time pass by, for another day to come and go, again and again and again. Hey, I felt a tap on my shoulder during my first period class, sophomore year during the harshest winter of the year. I turned around to see a student I didn't recognize. Of course I didn't. I didn't seem to recognize anyone these days. But he caught my attention. The boy was handsome in a way that could easily be overlooked. He was wearing a sly expression on his face, a mouth teasing into a smile. His eyes were a bright green, I noticed. There was a silence, but he was still staring at me with that half smile. What? I asked. I nearly flinched when I heard how sharp my tone was. I sometimes forget how to talk to people. Sorry, what do you want? I cleared my throat and felt my face burn a little. The boy finally smiled fully, a small chuckle escaping him. He raised his hand again, slowly, his finger an inch away from my shoulder as if he wanted to tap me again. I wasn't sure if I should ignore him, but something told me not to. He was also odd, but in his own way. For the first time in a while, someone caught my attention and I didn't know why. What's your name? His voice wasn't anything special, but he had a way of slowing down his speech in a near tantalizing way, making sure that you were gripped to his every word. It had a flowing, almost musical tone to it. I opened my mouth. Before closing it, I unconsciously began fidgeting with my pencil. Ben, I stammered. What was wrong with me? My face was on burning. I tried to subtly cover my cheek with the hand to cover up how red it was. Ben, as in Benjamin? Can I call you that? The boy asked me, lazily moving his hand away from me. The setting sun made his red hair glow a little brighter. It looked like flames. He looked beautiful. Sure, I nodded. I couldn't understand it, but he seems to have an unending amount of confidence, or maybe he just didn't care. He looked as bored as I was, but unlike me, who was waiting for something interesting, he decided to take action. Who's that? He pointed to the girl sitting in front of me. I don't know, I responded sheepishly. I wasn't lying. What a shame, he sighed loudly. His deep, dark eyes slowly dragged back to me. After a few seconds, he laughed softly, waving a hand in front of my face as if to catch my attention. I realized I was staring. My my face began to burn again. He leaned forward, cupping a hand over his mouth so only I could see what he was saying. Benjamin, his voice was a deep mumble. A whisper. Are you bored? I blinked, taken aback. Yes, I replied. The boy smiled. Who was he? He was such a bizarre character. I was absolutely fascinated. Benjamin, he said, slowing down his sentence even more, the last letter of his every word swinging upwards in a sing-song tone. Can you be my friend? Wait, what's your name? I changed the subject. Would you even remember it, Benjamin? The boy pouted. He was acting silly, but his voice was deep and scolding. I paused for a second, trying to comprehend what this entire conversation was. Of course I would, I said, trying to act naive. I wasn't even sure I could if I tried. I'll hold you to that, but not now. The boy raised his hand once more and touched my shoulder once again. Do you believe in the supernatural, Benjamin? He asked, focusing on the shoulder that he was poking. Why was I letting him do this? No, I don't. Can you? I pointed at his hand, which was still on my shoulder. His sly expression dropped to a more disappointed one. Sorry, I blurted out. His eyes snapped to me. Suddenly brightening, he pulled his hand back. You don't believe in anything? Ghosts, vampires, ghouls, shapeshifters? He asked. No. Please? Please, I repeated in utter confusion. Are you a ghost or something? The boy shook his head before sighing loudly. I'm a little different from a ghost. Something told me he wasn't lying. I wished he was, but that look in his eyes. Well, what are you? I'm a parasite, he murmured softly, his eyes downcast. He brushed back his hair, his fingers tangled in a few golden strands. He smiled once again, but this time it was warmer. It was more sincere. I'm looking for a host. What are you talking about? I raised a brow. He was definitely just crazy and nothing else. Crazy people were nothing new. I internally rolled my eyes, ready to ignore his words. Benjamin, if you think you're going to forget me, then you got another thing coming. He frowned. I nearly flinched at his tone. It was harsh, angry. His mouth was curling up into a snarl. Excuse me? I don't know why, but that anger I saw, it produced such an intense fear that I nearly wanted to run. The moonlight and the darkness filtering through the window made that fear ever more visceral. I'm kidding, Ben. That bright smile was back, but my fear remained, although deteriorating by the second. You're my friend. You could never forget me. He touched my shoulder again, the summer beating on my face only making me feel safer. Strangely, summer suited the boy's soft features so well. He reminded me of a puppy. I think class ended. I should go, I said in a rushed tone, trying to brush his hand away. I didn't care how calm and sweet his expression was. I was getting creeped out. It didn't, he assured me. But I looked around the classroom. It was empty, the desks shoved in the back and the chairs stacked on top of one another in the corner. Since when? No one's here, I murmured, accidentally spilling out my shock. Of course no one's here. The boy reached his hand further and brushed through my hair. I smacked his hand away. He looked hurt. his face glowing in the sun rays shining through the window. "Who are you?" I snapped. Getting up quickly, my head began to ache, and I held onto my desk to regain my balance. The boy remained seated, his sharp features getting ever more taut, his cold eyes bored into my very soul. His arm shot out of a inhumane speed, snatching my wrist. "Where are you, Benjamin?" he asked. I couldn't see his face very well. The night sky was above us both, but the stars were barely even visible through the trees. I stepped back. Where was I? I looked around, my head feeling like it was about to be ripped apart. My sneakers crunched on leaves on the ground. It looked like I was in the woods in the dead of night. There was no sign of human life around us, except for the two of us, except for me. I unconsciously reached for my phone in my pocket. "Who are you going to call? Your friends?" The boy laughed harshly, his face tightening, his bones pressing his skin. "I'm a parasite, Benjamin. I warned you." The moonlight sifted through the tree leaves. Every crevice and indent of his face was contrasted darkly with the features of the skin that were lit by the moon. I couldn't even see his eyes. I tried to pull my arm away from his grasp, to no avail. "You know, Benjamin, I feast on thoughts. I feast on you, on your every perception of reality. I have utter control of you." He chuckled before his jaw clenched. "But I don't like you. You're disgusting. Your memories are altered already. Your reality is something I can't grasp. To think I could only hold your attention for 5 minutes before resorting to force. You're a spoiled piece of food, Benjamin." "The hell are you talking about?" I yelled. His grip was so tight I could see my circulation being cut off. My hand was turning a deep purple. "You can't remember anything around you. You live such an isolated life. It's pathetic," he snarled. His skin was getting thinner. It was like a ply of tissue paper stretched over bones. "You can't even remember what I looked like, right?" "What? Could I?" "What's my name then, Benjamin?" "You never told me," I yelled. "I didn't? Or did you just cut that out of your memories like you cut out everything else in your life?" He hissed, pulling me closer to him. "You're unreliable, Benjamin. Live your life like this. There are creatures worse than me who'd find you a delicacy." I couldn't respond. My breath caught in my throat. "Good luck. I never want to meet you again." I found tears rolling down my face, and a loud gasp escaped me. "Are you okay?" The girl sitting across from me turned around to face me, her expression filled with worry. I was back in the classroom on a cold winter day, sophomore year, first period. I stared at her, not even bothering to wipe my tears away. I couldn't move, each breath of mine heaving and harsh. "I don't know if I can change, but I want to. Your name is Abigail, right?"